everyone, welcome to the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. I'm, of course, your host, TJ West, coming to you from beautiful West Virginia. Sorry about the instability of the camera there. Outside, it's a beautiful, very hot day here in Appalachia. But I wanted to talk for a few minutes about Jasmime Guillory's Flirting Lessons, which was this month's read for my queer book club over in Ocean City, Maryland. And I really like this book. I've never read anything else by Jasmime Guillory. Obviously, I know I've heard of her, as a romance author myself, very familiar with her presence, but this is her first sapphic romance, and I have to say that it's a success. I'm not going to give too much away about the book, but if you haven't read it, it's about Avery and Taylor. Avery is sort of a type A, uptight bisexual. Taylor is, a more freewheeling queer woman, and they meet and end up with Taylor giving the uptight Avery flirting lessons on how to be a flirt and how to sort of like own her sexuality and own her relationships with women. And, as the novel goes on, obviously flirting lessons, and all of it being fake ends up being for real. And so it's not very long before complications are arising. Now, I will say that I loved this book. I felt that it had a nice breezy tone to it, a nice breezy pace. It does not overstay its welcome. It's basically, when I think of beach reads, it's that kind of book that I'm really imagining. And I think that there's a lot to say about the book, a lot that's worthy of praise. I like the fact that it's obviously about two women, that there's some bisexual representation, that there's, one of the things that comes about is that Avery has a best friend named Luke, who's a man, so it's nice to see woman-male friendship that doesn't have a romantic element to it. I also appreciate that there's queer friendship. One of the things that my book club talks about a lot is how often in romance, both queer and straight, there's really only one friend for each of the main characters, when in reality, people have many different friends, and there are friend groups, and I think that that's particularly true and important for queer people. And so it was really nice to see this kind of remarkable friend group that Taylor has kind of gathered around her, that gives her love and support, but also kind of ribs her for being a heartbreaker. And also, one of her most important relationships is with her best friend Erica, and they have a whole thing. And so I think it's just really important to show the kind of queer communities that emerge and that are very vital to queer people, that give us a support system, that we're not just alone in the world. And so I really appreciate that Guillory kind of immerses herself and immerses the characters in this milieu. And it's particularly important for Avery, who is this, sort of uptight and has a hard time making friends and being outgoing. And although I'm an extrovert, I have also that sort of constant paranoia that I've said something wrong, that people are going to spurn me for being awkward or weird. And so, I felt that was deeply resonant for me. Now, obviously, the real heart and soul of this book is the romantic element. Taylor and Avery have an instant chemistry, and you can really feel it. And there's obviously some very, very, very spicy sex scenes. I don't really like the word spice, but we'll use that because I know it's the parlance right now. And Guillory gets into the nitty-gritty of it. I am a gay man, so I don't always find lesbian sex scenes all that appealing. But I will say that the power of Guillory's prose and the importance of their story, it's about consent, it's about what each of them finds pleasurable, and that's really important, because I do think that, we tend to forget that sex is not just about pleasure, but about communication, it's about intimacy, and I think that she really captures that very well. And I liked seeing those kinds of explicit conversations being had between two women. And again, to circle back to what I said earlier, I also think it's really powerful and important that we get bisexual representation, since bisexual people are continually erased from popular culture, from the popular discourse. But this novel shows that, bi people are not just gay people in training or the other kind of pernicious myths that surround bisexuality. And so I really enjoyed getting to see that element of it too. And, I found that it was really well paced. There's a nice, breezy atmosphere to it. It takes place in Napa Valley in California, and so I really felt that, Guillory has a real skill and a knack for capturing the milieu that this book takes place in. I felt like I was in California. It's a perfect kind of beach read for the summertime, and I'm really glad that we chose it. I'm also glad, lastly, that it's about Black women. It's black queer women, since we know that, Black people as a rule tend to get shut out of various publishing spaces. And so, that's even more true for Black queer people. And so I was really glad that my book club, who has made a real effort to be inclusive and to embrace the diversity of queer voices, across the spectrum has included this book because it's just a really powerful book and it's just a hell of a good read. I mean, the representation is important, but I really just enjoyed it, devoured it from beginning to end. And so, yeah, I think it's a success. I'm glad to see that Guillory has made this foray into sapphic fiction, and I hope it's not her last. So if you were not paying attention, it is Flirting Lessons, and also I love this cover. It is extremely sexy cover, and I love a good cover for a book like this. So anyway, if you haven't read it, or read anything else by Guillory, I think this makes for a good beginning. I certainly devoured it, and you know, I'm easy to please, but not always. So anyway, the long and short of it is that this book, Jasmime Guillory's Flirting Lessons, gets the Pisces Pop Culture, Pisces Guide to Pop Culture seal of approval, which we know is one of the most coveted seals of approval in the world of fiction, film, TV, what have you. Anyway, so that's all for today. As always, thank you all so much for joining me here at the Pisces Guide for Pop Culture. I'm TJ, and take care, y'all.